So I think Cannes has changed in the last 5 years that I've been going, and which has coincided with the last 5 years that I've been really focused on programmatic. Cannes has, every year has, in my view, mirrored what the industry has been going through. So the first year, almost no entrance of programmatic related companies, data, technology and so on. But each year they grow both the number of companies and their visibility at Cannes grows and grows. And I think this year is the first year we have a award dedicated to innovation and technology and so on. So that's a big reflection on how I've seen things change over the last few years.
So for a festival of creativity and the emergence of programmatic and data, how do those two things fuse together if they can?
Well, in theory they should fuse together very well, and they should most definitely go hand in hand. Technology is there to power all sorts of different forms of advertising. I think the reality is that technology has really focused on the area of targeting and direct response and those elements, and unfortunately has left the creative industry behind. So I think that's not to put all blame onto the creative industry. I think really on both sides we need to work harder at how we incorporate creative into everything we're doing programmatically, because we're great at targeting lots of thousands of different people, segments. We're not very good at bringing the requisite creative to mirror that.
So how does creative catch up?
Just by embracing a new business model, which is, I think if I'm quite straight about it, that is the problem. We have an industry that's built around, I have a Lego analogy, we have an industry built around delivering you the fully made Star Wars spaceship, when in actual fact the programmatic industry and the operators of programmatic, really what they want is a bag of Lego. And the creative industry finds it hard to generate revenue and value off that bag of Lego. So I think it's a wholesale change for everyone. Clients, publishers, creative agencies, media agencies, we're all having to adapt. And so I think they're not in a different position to us. They just have to embrace something new.
So I know you recently identified kind of 4 ages of the evolution of programmatic. What are they? Where are we right now? And is there a 5th?
Yeah, so there's nothing too scientific about this. This was just my view, but there is, there has been, within the programmatic industry, we've had four areas that I think, or 4 stages we've been through in the last few years. The first has been one where no one really was paying too much attention and pretty much didn't care. The second was where suddenly everyone is talking about it at every conference and every meeting, and advertisers being slightly overwhelmed by that level of information and not actually themselves being structured to take that on board, i.e. heads of programmatic or anything like that. The third, that then leads to a sort of feeling of a bit of frustration and like, who do I turn to, who do I trust, what are the different commercial models and so on. Now I feel like the advertisers have started to appoint specific people. Some of the biggest advertisers in the world now are appointing people and teams to focus on this area. And my sense is the minute someone is in that role and they have the opportunity and time to really dig deeper into it, they start to, there's a sort of calm descends on the place where really they're fact-finding, they're trying to understand the marketplace, the industry, and I think we're now in a stage where this should really accelerate forwards and in a positive light, rather than dwelling on issues of transparency and the like.
What's the next stage around the corner, or what should it be?
Next stage is all media being traded in this way and being planned and bought with the use of data and technology.
Does that extend even to, let's say, branded content?
Well, again, you're probably into definitions, but I think I think from my perspective, branded content needs to be distributed somehow, and data will no doubt inform where that content gets distributed.
So you at VivaKi have recently had a reorganisation, I think, in recognition of the increased role of programmatic. Can you tell us about that and how it's settled down?
Sure. I mean, all these things are related. Publicists have restructured our programmatic skill sets to reflect this, you know, to reflect the fact that programmatic is more important in Cannes, to reflect the fact that advertisers are appointing programmatic, all the things we've talked about. We felt that we were at a tipping point where, yes, it was right to centralise and incubate a skill set going back right back to 2008, and for those people who were doing digital media in 2008, programmatic RTB was just not a thing, it didn't exist, but we started back then. We've now reached a point where it is a tipping point where it was impossible to have those skill sets solely centralised in one unit. It's really going to be the lifeblood of every media agency, and therefore that skill set needs to exist integrated within their normal planning and buying processes.
So programmatic is now accounting for a large percentage of display ad spend, an increasingly large percentage of video display ad spend. Mm-hmm. What will be the evolution of that latter part, and what about when we think of the prospect of programmatic linear TV? Is that a realistic prospect?
Sure. So display, as you say, is already a very big proportion is programmatic. Video, I think, depending on who you talk to and your client base and so on, video is really going. The majority share will move in that direction. Really relying on broadcasters now to move the programmatic video share on. Everything else, I think, is already going in that direction. I think the linear TV discussion, there is an ambition, and people talk about linear TV turning programmatic in the same way as we talk about display, i.e. you log into one platform and you can buy all your TV across all these channels. I think it's very unlikely. The idea that TV ads are going to be they're going to be in market based on much deeper data insights and much more real-time data insights is already being tested and beaten in all sorts of shapes and forms, and will definitely be more the norm in a couple of years. The idea that a buyer is going to log into a system and buy their TV ads across all the major broadcasted channels based on real-time data is, if that's in the next 7 to 10 years, I'd be surprised.